Hello my little worms, I'm Day, and welcome back to Halfling Versus, the show where we put our most terrifying and vicious adversaries against one small hairy boy, named Jeremy. And today we are fighting the Ice Giant. You're a bit close, big guy. How about we back up a couple steps there? Yes, today we are fighting the Ice Giant, who I consider the true final boss of Halfling Versus. Not the final unit, there are still 3 after this, but those have costs that are just a bit more absurd than the rest of the units, so those are the DLC bosses, but this is the final main boss. Because this one's 6,000, and the one after's 10,000, the next two are 10 million. It's the cost went up a little bit extreme for the final sort of 3. So this one really is the final of where the numbers are actually going up, at least in some way of gradual. So you've got the 3,000s, and then some 4,000, and some 5,000, but just going straight from 6,000, 10,000, 10 million. That is a very big jump up. But yes, we finally have to face the Ice Giant, which I always refer to as the Frost Giant, because Frost Giant seems way more reasonable in my head, but it potentially is a copyright term or something, and they had to go with Ice Giant because of that. But yes, the Ice Giant. Well, I suppose we should start with some testing. This is now a callback to Tales from Halfling Versus when I first showed off the Ice Giant in that one. So yes, this is not going to work because of one very specific thing. That bloody ice breath. That is the bane of my existence when it comes to this unit, and the reason why I've been concerned about this unit since day one, because before even the very first episode of Halfling Versus, even before Halfling versus Halfling, I had already tried to fight the Frost Giant. I've already said it again, Ice Giant. Come on me, Ice Giant, yes, I already tried to fight the Ice Giant with a Halfling, and it went like this pretty much every time, because that ice breath, it is so annoying. Things I've learned about the Ice Breath, too, is that it doesn't seem to really need a direct line of sight. It will just use it through objects to hit you. So, yes, that is definitely a very big problem. And strategy discussion. Oh, weird to start strategy discussion on this screen. But yes, I'm thinking for this one, I go through every single one of our normal strategies and show why they do or do not work against the Ice Giant. So I think we'll probably start with our normal map, the Dynasty map. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a Halfling Versus if we didn't start off by trying our most classic strategy, the water under the bridge. Alright, so, as always, we go behind the pillar, and immediately get hit with Frost Breath. Because, as I said, it doesn't need line of sight to be able to hit you with the Frost Breath, so it just goes straight through the bridge and hits you down there, which makes this one very not effective. Although I would like to demonstrate that if you could somehow survive the Ice Breath, it is possible for the Ice Giant to die here. It's just the problem is that, for the most part, they're not going to be taking much damage in the water. They have to get just low enough, which hasn't seemed to happen this time. Oh, there we go. Yes, it's very hard to get the Angle Eye, but it is technically possible for the Ice Giant to drown there. I just don't think it would actually happen without also dying as Jeremy, because you have to be standing at that sort of spot to get it to go in there. If you're standing somewhere else to be far enough away from the Ice Breath, it's not going to go in the water to that very specific spot. And it would probably try to, escape back up, even if it fell in the water, unlike there, where I was actively trying to walk into it. So yes, this strategy, ineffective. Then what about our other classic Dynasty map strategy? The tree strats. Is this one effective? Jeremy, please do not fall off there. Are they heading over here, or have they gotten stuck on something? Because that's a very big concern with this, large unit. His arms get caught on a lot of things, as we're probably about to see as they get caught here. Oop, don't hit with the Ice Breath, please. Okay, but yes, they've mostly gotten caught here, which is still a problem to the Reaper, but it seems like they're getting a bit closer, maybe? Oop, Jeremy fell. But yes. Yeah, you can see that they're pretty caught there. And even if they did get out from being caught here, they would just freeze breath like Jeremy, because they're probably just going to land here and freeze breath on Jeremy, literally right there. If they even get unstuck, which most of the time they do not get unstuck, which is why I consider this one also not a very effective strategy for that reason. Yeah, they're just a bit too likely to be able to walk straight off on top of the tree here instead of actually falling down the gap to go down. So yes, tree strat is ineffective. And one last thing before we leave the Dynasty map. Can the Ice Giant actually fit down this pit easily? If we just put them down like that, it seems their arms get mostly stuck, but they do fall eventually. Now, the only problem is, if you actually wanted to try to get them to fall in the fight, you'd have to be really messing around the pit, Because like typically when we're trying to get them down the pit, we have to be like on the other side of the pit, and so they like will like walk off partially and stuff like that. It's not going to work from a distance, and the problem about the ice breath is you have to be standing at a distance. So we'd have to be standing all the way back like here or something, in which case their pathfinding would just have them walk around the pit. So I'm going to say pit strategy is ineffective. Now I think this one pretty clearly is not going to work, but I did say all of our usual strategies. But yeah, the whole problem about this one is we're just going to hit with the ice breath. And it's like the whole premise is that like this is very shallow water. That giant would not drown in this water. That is the whole point of this strategy. So yes, this map definitely would not work. Because how would he fit under here? That's how you typically win this. They go flying off here. There's no way the giant would fit under there. Like, he's taller than the whole thing itself. Medieval 1. The typical map where you try to trick things off the edge. Now the problem is to trick them off the edge, you have to be standing there. In which case, again, you just get hit with the ice breath. So yeah, another strategy that is very ineffective just because of this ice breath. Damn you, ice breath! And now for the only strategy that we have that actually works on any of the ice maps. Ring around the rose tree. Because apparently that is just its canonical name now, after I said it in that one video. So yes, this one also, I think, pretty clearly won't work for very obvious reasons that I've already stated. But you can try it, just like stand here, and he'll, you know, use the ice breath straight through the tree. So yeah, that's another strategy that is very much ineffective. And now finally we reach the strategies that actually have a potential to work. Both of these next two strategies I have actually had success in during testing, which means we can actually succeed now. So the very first one, because I feel like I should try to do both in the video, is the good map strategy. You may remember this from, I believe, was it Sacred Elephant Fight? Where we actually used this section here. And this potentially could work, but I've only had it work once. So this might not go well. And now it's time to let this battle commence. Alright, so we immediately have to get off the edge of that waterfall. And then the bits after that is when it becomes problematic. Please do not die to fall damage, Jeremy. Get lower. We need to be at least this low. Ice Giant should be here now. Okay, we need them to use their ice breath, but not kill us. So, okay, they've partially fallen. This is good. We needed them to not end up here, though. This is not great. Oh, it worked, though. It worked. But there you go. This strategy is functional, because apparently the Ice Giant doesn't have to fall that far to actually die on this map. So this is enough. On the good job, me. On the successful attempt that I actually had in testing, the Ice Giant partially hit me with the Frost Breath, managed to not kill me, and then got stuck here between these two sections, I think even like higher up than where he is now, and it still ended up like killing him, and that was like the only way that is actually working. Now I feel like I should do a second one of this just to show it not working, because it very much doesn't work half the time. Alright, so then we climb down here. Ooh, that was potentially death to fall damage. Gotta be very careful here, Jeremy. Alright, I'm gonna be a little less careful than I was before and just stand still, and yes. Just very clearly just hits you with the ice breath there. Sometimes he does fall off afterwards, but of course Jeremy's already done by that point. So a lot of the things that I do in this section down here is I'm trying to move backwards a little so that the ice breath doesn't hit you. But it's just the fact that he can the ice breath through this entire ground and hit Jeremy like there. When it's like the ice breath isn't even facing in the direction Jeremy is right now, but it's still enough to hit Jeremy. But it was successful on that previous attempt. So I'll take it. And our final strategy. The strategy that we've only ever used once against one unit, but probably the most consistent way to actually beat the Ice Giant. And that is... whoop, barrel strats. Yes, this one's got a much higher likelihood of working than most of the other things. And it all just depends on if I can stay on the barrel, because that's the biggest problem with barrel strat is you can slip off the barrel. And now it's time to let this battle commence the sequel. Alright, so just be very careful on this barrel, because we can fall off at any moment. But like the one thing I don't like about barrel strat is you can never tell if it's working. You've just got to stand here and hope that they're drowning on the other side, which might be happening or might not be happening. There's only one way to find out, and that's when the thing shows up at the top. So, you come here often? Hey, it worked! Yes. But yeah, this is just deep enough for the ice giant to be able to drown in it. So they've got to like walk into it, then I guess like walk a little bit further, and then they go down just enough to start taking damage. But yeah, there's always a chance that it doesn't actually work. But at least this one, there's not like a chance that it randomly just kills you. You've just got to stand on the barrel and wait until eventually the ice giant gets in the right spot. So it's definitely a lot more of a consistent strategy than the other ones. Technically, this strategy is probably the best strategy we've ever had in Halfling Versus, because I feel like there's not many units this wouldn't work against. It's actually a pretty guaranteed strat against most things, which is why I only use it as a last resort. So I was very happy when I came up with that other one, that good map strategy, because that good faction map strategy actually was very surprising. I did not know that that was going to work. But the fact that it did meant that I didn't have to just only do barrel strat here, which would have just been so sad, man. Would have been so sad. Victory! And that is the story of how a small halfling boy bested a frost giant. God, that was a hard unit. It had all the things in common with all of the toughest Halfling Versus units. It's immune to drowning on most maps. It can attack you even without line of sight, which is always a very big problem. And it's also one of the big giant units, which means that it can't fit down certain like holes and stuff, which is also not great. But we did it. We figured out 2 ways to actually be able to beat this thing. But whew, God, it took a while to try to find those ways. I was testing every single one of the strategies over and over again, be like, this is not working, it's clearly not working. Even the good map strategy, it did not work like 6 times in a row, and then suddenly it actually worked. And I was like, oh my God, this is actually possible. This can actually do it. And of course, I kind of knew Battle Strat was probably going to work the whole time. And Jeremy got hit by the Frost Giant. Ice Giant, I'm never going to stop doing that. Anyway, if you liked the video, be sure to leave a like, and why not subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and ring the notification bell, it does something, I still don't know what, and follow me on Twitter for updates and seeing my thumbnails in a larger size, as well as announcing on streams, whenever those happen. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next one, against, is it the Super Boxer? I think that one might have been the 10,000 cost unit that's next. Probably. I don't know. That's definitely one of the 3 remaining ones, so I'm assuming that that is the next one. Because I think after that it's like Super Peasant and Dark Peasant or something like that. I can't remember. It is not important. You'll see them when you see them. So for now, goodbye everybody, and roll the outro.
I gave that bastard what he deserved. A funeral. Fit for a king.